getting started, you'll need a sewing machine, and we're going to be using a Singer heavy duty fabric, and we're using a soft thin wool, and I recommend this because it's going to be very warm, and then also a vinyl or a leather, or you can use any other stiff fabric because it's going to be holding that snap button. You'll need snap buttons, and we put a link in the description that has a kit of all different finishes and also a die to install them. And lastly, your pattern, and this is available at properfitclothing.com. So go ahead, print it off, cut it out, tape it together, and you're ready to start. So go ahead, take your scarf panel, place it on the fold, trace it, and cut it out. And you're going to want to go ahead and cut 2 of these. We're going to be using the same fabric for both the inside and outside of the scarf, but if you want to, you can go ahead and use 2 different fabrics. It's totally up to you. Just make sure you end up with 2 of the scarf panels. Next, take your button panel and your vinyl or your leather, trace it and cut it out, and you're also going to want to end up with 2 of these. Then go ahead and take 1 scarf panel and 1 button panel, place right sides together, line up the edge, and sew just that edge. And this pattern calls for a 1/4 inch seam allowance, so keep that in mind. Next, we're going to be adding a top stitch, and all you have to do is roll that inside edge over on top of itself and stitch right on top. And this is going to make the scarf panel nice and flush and match up with the button panel. Plus, it adds for a nice professional look. Then you're going to want to repeat this process for your other scarf and button panels. So you're going to want to end up with 2 separate pieces. Next, go ahead and place right sides together, lining up the scarf panels and the button panels. And you're going to be sewing all the way around, but leaving a small opening on the opposite end of the button panels, because that's where you're going to pull like the right side back through. And we're going to start by sewing just the button panel, so that way it's all lined up. Sometimes when you're sewing a far distance, like the scarf is pretty far, the bottom can go through a little bit faster than the top, and you don't want that to happen, so we're just going to go ahead and sew the button side first. And then once you get to the edge of the opposite side, you can go ahead and sew all the way through to the other end. And keep in mind, we're using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Then go ahead, flip it over, and then sew the other long edge. And once you get to the end, go ahead, turn it, and sew just about 3 inches, and then skip about 2 inches, and then sew the rest of it. You want to leave that opening so you can pull the right side out. And you're going to want to clip the corners of the thicker fabric, so that way when you flip it back right side out, you can really push those edges out. Then go ahead and pull the right side out. Go ahead and work at those corners. You might have to put your hand back in and push those corners out, but they definitely will pop out. And now we're going to be sealing up that hole. So what you're going to do is turn the right sides in on each other and do a top stitch all the way down that edge. Next, we're going to be doing a top edge stitch on those longer sides. And you can go ahead and iron this. It might be a little bit easier doing it that way, but we're going to go ahead and just start sewing. And the only reason we're not including the button panel with this edge stitch is because we want to use black thread to match that vinyl. If you're using all the same color fabric, you can go ahead and do an edge stitch all the way around in one go. And this makes that edge nice and flat and really clean looking. So go ahead and do this to the other side. And since we're using a different color thread, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing for the button panel. And just make sure you have those corners poked out as much as you can. And if you do the nice clip, they should poke out perfect and square. And as you can see, it just adds a nice finished look. And then we're going to be adding 2 button snaps to the top of the button panel. And to be honest, you can totally add as many as you want. It's totally up to you. Whatever look you're going for, we kind of like the 2 at the top, but honestly, whatever look you're going for, add as many as you want. Just keep in mind, the more you add, the more that you're going to have to add on the other end. And also the more you're going to have to snap when you're putting on this scarf. Then once you have your 2 snap buttons on your button panel, then you're going to want to go ahead and try it on and see where it falls, and then mark those points where those buttons fall, and then you can install your other ends. And this is really going to be based on how you want it to fall on you. And you're going to want to play with this a little bit. I recommend looking in a mirror so that way you can see what it looks like and then really make the decision from there. And there you have it, your buttons are installed and you're ready to wear it. And another quick tip, if you double the length of this, it's gonna wrap around you more and have more of an infinity scarf look. But hey, it's totally up to you. Get creative with it. And thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you think. If you have any other videos that you want to see done, let us know. We'll try to get to it. But until then, we're gonna keep the videos coming at you. So we'll see you next time.